Please, Sabrina, shoot at me with the orange trigger variant. Okay, you might want to try a little bit harder than that. Go for it. Oh my god, I've been tagged. Now shoot me with the blue trigger variant.
Yep. Over your head.
Well, don't aim so high. Welcome to Tag Back, the show where every once in a while I take a blaster from the past to see what it could offer us today in the present. And this time, look at that, I did an opening almost completely, entirely clean. That never happens. We're going to be taking a look at the not often forgotten, quite goodwill staple, the Nerf Dart Tag Sharpshot, circa 2011. A really cool looking pistol that is extremely comfortable, and I believe just about most people would say such things. What they'd also probably tell you is that the performance is so horrendous, it isn't even funny. It's a reverse, it's like a stock Maverick kind of thing. It's flippin' horrible. But you may notice there are two here, and what is this one? Is it modded or something? No. There's a thing they did with the Dart Tag line that we should probably talk about, but first, a demonstration. Much harder. I'll get actual numbers later for those of you that need that kind of thing beyond the hand test. The Sharpshot, and by proxy, I think just about every single Dart Tag Blaster, has got normally two variants. The original release from like 2011 with the orange trigger and everything like that, that is what you would know and love from the Dart Tag line. But of course, just before Nerf Elite was going to become a thing, they re-released a lot of the blasters in the Dart Tag line. Many of them are somewhat rare, because there was two versions of them on the shelf at the same time, so they didn't really make a whole lot of them. And then those had blue triggers. And in the case of the Sharpshot, also has like a blue ammo loader thing at the front of it. This is for just storing darts, so you can keep a little bit extra on you. The blue trigger variants, like I believe the Speed Swarm only had blue triggers, have better internals and springs in them. They're still reverse plungered, but the differences in power are quite staggering. Now for the electric blasters, it's not that much of a difference. It is noticeable to some degree, but when it comes to comparing these two blasters right here, it's like night and day. Allow me to demonstrate. First up, the original red. Wow. First up, the original orange trigger Sharpshot. So majestic, so powerful, so end strike. This is what people used to deal with. This is why Nerf is kind of a joke. And a lot of people don't understand Nerf blasters hit so much harder now. I could legitimately throw that farther. Now, we're going to talk about the blue triggered one. Triple the distance, probably? This actually, for some reason, this is war-worthy. This actually hits better than some blasters that I've done reviews on recently. This, I never actually range tested this. That is incredible. If you need a new blaster for pistol rounds, maybe hunt down the blue triggered variant, but as I've been told, these are somewhat rare. I'm not going to throw this one because I happen to like it a lot. So for a visual representation of how much different these are, I've got Sabrina behind the camera right now, dual wielding both pistols. Please, Sabrina, shoot at me with the orange trigger variant. Okay, you might want to try a little bit harder than that. I mean, that was horrible. You're gonna have to reload it though. It is fun. There you go. Give it a little bit of angle. Go for it. Oh my god, I've been tagged. Now shoot me with the blue trigger variant.
Yep. Over your head.
Well, don't aim so high. Come on.
Sabrina, you're supposed to be a lefty.
Got one more shot left.
Come on.
Switch hands. Hit me. Yeah! We now know that left is not your strong point. But yeah, it's quite substantial. The blue trigger variant is so much better, it isn't even funny. I'm disappointed that I wasn't even the one using it. And there we are, the differences, the very clear and obvious differences between the orange trigger and the blue trigger. Now, what would complete this set as if I had like the gray trigger version, because we're talking about different colored triggers, so we should probably touch on that. There usually is another version of a blaster. You'll find the typical orange trigger, like a strife and whatnot, but even things like the Big Shock, you might see this, there's a gray trigger variant of that, and those are normally sold around in Europe, Australia, stuff like that. I know some countries can get normal Nerf blasters, others can't. It all does with toy laws and whatnot. So there are versions that are probably in between the two. Like, I wonder if there's actually a gray trigger version of the Sharpshot, because if there is, I really needed to have it before I shot this video, which I'm shooting right now. A little disappointing. Funny enough that this even exists, though. Could you imagine being in, like, the Nerf Dart Tag Championship thing and not knowing that there were blue trigger variants that hit, like, 3 times harder? We should actually chronograph this to see how hard it is literally hitting. 69.2 giggity. That is Elite Standard, which, again, these came out at about the same time as Elite, and yet this is still a reverse plungered blaster. That was 56. That might have been a bad dart. I did pick these out of the grass, and I might have picked one up that was a few years old. 61. And 66.9. That's a good number. Now, let's do the original. 21.6. Let's try that again. Well, that bounced back and went through again, but it was 31 and then dropped down to 29. 23. You get the idea. And granted, these are both thrifted blasters. I actually bought this one off somebody at Ragnarok Oktoberfest, but yeah, you can kind of tell what's going on with them. Other than that, they're fantastic looking blasters. They actually have some color separation in the paint, as well as the yellow shell that really brings... I love how the Dart Tag line looks. They look like futuristic space pistols from like Halo or something like that. This one's actually symmetrical. I love these things. Seriously. They are labeled with a 4 embossed on the plastic because it can hold 4 shots, but of course it's still a front loader. But they're so comfortable. They have the little thing right there that you can put on like a lanyard or something like that. It just feels like a good blaster. And this is kind of why I wish they would bring the Dart Tag line back, because this stuff just feels so good. And I'm really hoping with all the drive for competitive Nerf right now in the hobby that Hasbro decides to bring back Dart Tag at some point, because I think it could be done, especially if they did it in a way using electronics and stuff that they can't easily market out. They could sell the blasters, but imagine if they had special darts and receivers and stuff like that, to where if it gets close to you or hits you or something like that, like a magnet sensing like vest with like a magnet dart, which we know are a thing, that would work extremely well without it doing RFID and all that crazy stuff, and that could lead to a revolution in competitive Nerf. And a lot of people, I say that, they don't even know what I'm talking about, but back in the day, they used Velcro darts and jerseys that they stuck to, and it was literally just trying to catch and tag darts on people's jerseys instead of just tagging them out. There was a little bit before I even really got into the hobby much, but I love the Dart Tag line all the same. That's the best part about this. I wasn't like super into Nerf when Dart Tag was a thing, and yet I just got into the hobby and found these, and they're just so good. Like, this is actually a perfectly stock, acceptable pistol that I would use at any stock war. I love this blue trigger Sharpshot. And if you ever do find one, you really should try to pick them up, because the blue trigger variants of even all of the Dart Tag line, they're not very common. That's something you should keep in mind. And from what I've been told, the blue trigger Sharpshot is one of the rarest. I do hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's on a front-loading pistol, but there was a lot of interesting things to talk about. Other than that, I'm Walcom S7. Thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you very much to my helper Sabrina for shooting me with my own blasters. But of course, I hope to see you in an entirely different one.
You gotta up,